Good morning. How's everybody doing? Well, here we are, last trading day of the month. And trading at all-time highs. Crazy, crazy days. Hey, John, Ian. Moran, how are you? Oh, boy. Well, hey, George. How are you doing? Yeah, happy Friday. Yeah, boy, it's been a long week. It's been a very, I can tell from, I want to thank everyone who's stuck with us. And I know it's been hard, and I could see myself getting frustrated yesterday. When people, someone was asking me questions, and I'm like, haven't I explained this to you like 10 times? And I was like, oh man, no one's listening to me. It's like, next month end, I'm taking off. Next month end, those are the best month ends, are the ones that you don't work. I was like, oh, okay. Man alive. I think I put a lot of pressure on myself to try and make sure you guys get it. And when you don't, I'm like, oh, it's just like it's really hard. But these markets are no joke. There are a lot of really smart people who are getting it wrong every day, and you can see that. Now, it's not so much accounts blowing up, Moran. It's people just not listening, right? I'm like, did you watch the video? Oh no, you know. And it was more of that, like, didn't we talk about this? They're like, oh, yeah. It was just more of that. No, thank God it wasn't blown accounts. I think people know better than to like contact me when they blow up accounts, right? Especially when I tell them not to trade on month end. You know, it's it's a rough business. This business rolls over people, but that's okay. We got a new month coming, and you know, like Michael Douglas said in Wall Street, nobody likes a crybaby, right? You win some, you lose some, you just keep fighting. That's how this business is, right? Just keep fighting, you know. Let's go and see what's shaking. And the other thing about this business, you got to make it through the turns. You guys know what the turns are? You ever hear that expression? So when markets are generally, we'll go look at a weekly chart. If you take a look at a weekly chart, this kind of thing is very tradable. These moves here are very, very hard to catch, right? This stuff's tradable. A lot of this is tradable, right? This down here is beautiful to trade. back and forth, right? But these big moves up, and when it trends, right? It's great for trend traders, who are, if you're capitalized, if you got 200 million up, if you got hundreds of millions that you're managing, you have a higher margin of error. So you can catch a trend late and hedge it and trade around. You have all these options, right? You have all these options to get in there and trade it. The problem is when you're a retail trader, those options quickly disappear, right? And because you have very, very little that you can do to manage risk, and that means that your trade location has to be spot on, and it also means that you have to be in the right place at the right time, and it means that you have to have the discipline of one of those Shaolin monks. So it's really, really it's tough. So you got to be there for the turns. The turns means when this turns and goes sideways or breaks and then goes sideways, you've got to be just able to hang on through this, get what you can out of this, and then maximize the sideways motions, right? That's how I interpret it. Or if you're in a bad market and then it turns, you got to be able to just like grind it out and last until it turns. It's an old Wall Street saying, right? You got to be there for the turn. And right now, you can see totally where the people, even just looking at a weekly chart, right? The people who are short this move are just getting ground up in a meat grinder, and it just keeps going higher and higher and higher. It's just brutal, right? Overnight inventory. Let's go take a look. And we caught people short again today because overnight inventory was short, right? Inventory was short, right? When a market high closes like we did yesterday, Globex usually backfills to where the shorts are really trapped. So they're trapped under 71. They're also trapped down here, and they're trapped all over the place, right? The shorts are trapped in this 3-day cost basis. So when they're trapped there, we find the bid, and then all of a sudden, boom, straight back up. It's very frustrating. You can see they're in the meat grinder again, and we're just probably going to go put in new highs again, right? And you guys call that a V-shaped, right? That's where you high close, the market eases off during the night. All the cheap inventory is grabbed by the traders who are up at 2 in the morning, or who have got their algos set to buy at 2 in the morning. Grab the cheap stuff and we're back into distribution, right? So now, and it's very tough to trade, right? You've got to just trade the balance and try not to anticipate the moves, because at all-time highs, it's very, very hard to anticipate a breakout, and then if that breakout's going to have any follow through, right? It's one thing to trade the breakout. It's the other thing is to does this breakout have any follow through? If the breakout doesn't have follow through, it's like trying to like grab an alligator by the tail and hope he doesn't turn around and bite you. So let's see what happens when London opens. Right now we have a double top, which means thank goodness sellers are competing here, right? But once again, if we take those highs out, I've got some levels here up to, the top of this zone. I can't believe it, right? The look below and fail of 75.11 targets 76.31. And when I say these things, I said this a little while ago when we did this, and I said, it's not going to get there, right? And I've been doing that for 5 years, like I can't rotate that high, but it does. And you'll look at the moves, and those people who say, oh, this move is up on very little volume. Yeah, it is, because they don't realize Once you are over the cost basis and you're at all-time highs and there's no trading up here, so there's nobody to sell into this who has a cost basis up here. So you can move a market up hugely with very little volume because you don't have to, you're not pushing against resistance, right? The resistance comes from supply. That's what people don't understand. They don't understand that resistance comes from supply. So if you don't have any resistance, you don't have any supply, there's nothing to push against, and the market just pushes higher and higher and higher and higher. And it destroys people, right? You know, resistance is created by supply. But people don't visualize that. Yeah. Hey, Alex. AZS, what's going on, man? How you doing? I'm good. I'm glad it's Friday. So now we're taking out that double top, just creeping. I've done some levels here. I used 75 to 81 quarter as my balance. And it kind of coincides with yesterday's, position. You can see it a bit. Now, if we take out 75.93, we'll go into 4 times profit, right? So people ask me, what are these colored zones? So this is a cost basis, right? This is how much you paid for your crap. This is 2 times profit, okay? And then the purple is 4 times profit. So London opens, puts in a double top. Be very cautious how you trade today. It's the last day of the month. Large traders will be desperate. If they're offside and they didn't get their business done yesterday, they will be offside. So be careful. Because the last thing, being caught in front of a large trader who's offside, you already drew the 4 times. Getting trapped in front of a trader who's trapped offside, who's a size trader, is like, those videos you see, people are on safari in Africa and this massive elephant starts charging the car. it's that's exactly what it's like. You don't want to be standing in front of that, right? It's just very, very difficult, right? So as our friend Renee says, you got to be picky about where you do business, my friends. Be picky, right? Be very picky, right? So all we got to do is get through today without any large life-threatening wounds, okay? The goal of today is to not lose money, okay? The goal of today is to keep everything that you made this month, right? And if you can, maybe make a little bit, but don't try and be a hero, right? Don't get delusions of grandeur and that you're going to make 20 grand today. Just be careful, okay? Now, if you're a gun to your head short and you're fast, you can short where the sellers are, right? So how do you trade these things? You identify where the seller is, okay? You've identified a seller. You sell here, you put your stop above where the seller is. Because if that seller goes away, you're in trouble. That's your backup. And then you go and you put bids down. So say you're short 5 contracts here at 92, stop 93 and a half. You go put 90 bids, 91 bids, 89, and you put buy orders. If those buy orders get filled or executed, you can stay short. If they do not get filled, take the offer and cover because you're at all-time highs. Does that make sense? It is how people have been trading for centuries. It has worked for centuries, before fibs and dibs and squibs and moving averages and, you know, clouds and unicorns and all that crap that you guys obsess about, people have been making hundreds of millions of dollars by buying a position and putting their orders out. And if those orders don't get executed, it tells you, it gives you real time. You know how market profile people always go, oh, MGI, MGI, market generated information, right? You guys have heard that, right? Right? You guys have all heard market profile people, they talk about MGI, market generated information. So let's put that into practical terms, right? Market generated information comes from how your business is functioning. You get it? So if you buy 10 contracts at 75.87 and you put orders all the way up to 90, right? And it and you get executed at 88, 89, 89 and a half, but at 89 and 3/4, that sell order does not get executed. That is market generated information, right? The market generated information doesn't come from the chart. It comes from your business transactions. Savvy? Do you guys get that? That is the best feedback, right? It's like word on the street. Word on the street is never wrong. Your fills from your execution, right, tell you whether your business is working or you're completely delusional, right? Because somebody will try and buy something and sell it at 10 times the price they bought it, but they're like, you know, they've got visions of sugar plums in their head, right? They're completely delusional. Like you've seen it, some guy trying to sell $1,000 car for 25 grand. You're like, what? I remember that in the 80s, guys would have just a total piece of crap, right? Like so just a junker, like a Dodge Dart. And they're like, yeah, but you know, it's got a $2,000 stereo in it, right? And the car's worth 300 bucks. I'm like, yeah, take out the stereo. I'll buy the car for 300 bucks. You can keep the stereo, right? They're just delusional, right? So to keep from being delusional, right, use the feedback that the market's actually telling you, right? It's like those people who are selling artisanal donuts for 10 bucks a donut, right? Now, if you go to like a normal city, right, where people like have to work for a living, they're going to think you're a crackhead because you're trying to sell a donut for 10 bucks. But if you go to Beverly Hills, they'll probably buy it. So you got to know where you are, you know, in the market. That's a true thing. I've seen donuts in London for 10 bucks, like 10 pounds for a donut. I'm like, are these magic donuts? Do I, you know, do I eat the donut and, you know, right? Yeah, exactly, right? You have to have some sense of practical business skill when you're in this business because this is a business, right? It's not game theory, right? There's no game theory in markets. That's all bullshit, right? All that stuff is just people who are trying to explain something they don't know nothing about. Market means you buy a bunch of cheap crap and you sell it at a higher price. You can see there's a balance zone here that's a cost basis. It's a distribution cost basis. So we have the cost basis. We went up and we went sideways. That brought in buyers. Went sideways, brought in buyers. So now we're looking to see. Now London's open. It's very slow. We're going back and forth around that previous day high. So you have to think tactically. You know there are people short here. You know they're short here. They're short here. So if you're a seller, and you see those bids coming in at 90, now if you tell me that you need a DOM or footprint chart to see those 90 buy orders, I'm going to tell you that you got dropped on your head as a baby. You don't need that, right? You can just see that they stopped selling here, right? It's obvious, right? It's not obvious to you guys because nobody ever uses plain, simple language to teach trading, and that's what I'm trying to do, right? Look at the bottom of those two candles. They stop right there because the sellers see buyers here, right? The sellers see buyers here. So what do? So I'm a seller and I see a whole bunch of buyers. Pretend this level here is a glass door. And I see all these people lining up to buy. I'm going to raise price, right? I'm going to raise price. Really simple, right? So if you were short 92, you should be covering this, right? Sorry, Charles. That's a very Canadian saying, right? There are some sayings like, I I'm an import. I was raised in Canada. And, my parents moved from Sri Lanka to Canada in like 1971. So I was like the only, you know, sort of ethnic kid in my school. So I grew up with rednecks, right? My best friends are hillbillies. So they use these kind of sayings, right? Like they'll look at this market today and they'll go, "Oh, this is like a dog's breakfast," right? Or, you know, "Oh, you're from Toronto. What part?" Yeah, I grew up in Regina, Saskatchewan, right? So, you know, I'm like the poster boy for naturalization. You know, I speak French. I played, offensive line in football. I listen to country music. My best friends are total rednecks and hillbillies. Like they're the kind of people who make their own bullets, right? They go hunting, they make their own bullets. So yeah, so I'll use those sayings. They're not very politically correct, I guess. So that's how you trade tactically, right? So you identify that there's a seller here. They sold there before. They sold just a little bit higher this time. So if you're quick, and you got to be quick, you got to hit that because the offer moves lower. So you sell 92, put your stop here because they're your backup. And then somewhere here there's going to be bids. And right now we just found the bids, right? Life experience shows on the charts it does, right? Trading this kind of chop can drive you crazy, right? Especially the pace. Those of you who look at time and sales, the only thing you need to look at when you look at time and sales is how slow the market's moving. It's like a speedometer, right? So right now it's moving very slow. Was it yesterday that we had that big spike? I think it was, yeah, yesterday we had that big spike where everybody's screen froze, right? Very month end, right? The University District, yeah. I don't have much experience with Toronto. My ex-wife and her parents lived in Brampton, so you know, no offense to people who are from Brampton, but I did not enjoy that experience. Everybody's house looked the same. I always kept pulling up to the wrong house. You don't have to look at time and sales. Sometimes I'll open it up just to look and see how fast the market's moving. Say 87 and a half was a look below and frail. Yeah. Oh, here. Okay. Would you have sold? Okay, so you're asking. if you had bought this as a look below and fill of this level, I would be out by 90 for sure, Italian trader. And welcome to the room, right? Now, I like to trade from the edge, but if you're trading off a level, definitely you'd be going long 88, 88 and a half, 80, 88 and a half. You put your stop under that candle and then put your sell orders out here, right? I always use my orders. So say I bought 5 here, right? And my stop is here. Immediately at the top of this candle here, I got a sell order. At the top of these candles, I know that there's going to be a seller. So I'm going to put my sell orders out. And as the market goes, it'll take me out. If it doesn't take me out, then you're like, right? So Italian trader, you would say, basta, right? I'm out, right? Well, if you get filled on 2 and you get a pull, I in a market like this, at all-time highs when the order flow is unpredictable, hit the bid, say thank you, I'm gone. Because there's always the next trade, right? Because at the end of the month, at all-time highs, right, you don't know what these idiots are going to do, right? Some trader could be short, right? Some trader could be really short and he could be short size and he see, oh, the market's a little weak. I'll come down and I'll try and bully it down and hammer out a bunch of contracts and then put a bid and try and catch some. And you can get caught up in that, right? So I'm a big believer if you're going to trade month end, take profits quickly, right? Take profits quickly. There's always the next trade, right? Serious question, how do you manage marriage and trading? Feel like I should hear from someone outside for the opinions. Uh, what I suggest, Flo, is to have multiple sources of income when you're a trader. This whole I'm going to quit my job and trade for a living, that's the biggest trap, man. It's the biggest trap. You want to have multiple sources of income so you don't have to rely on the market to give you an income. Because if you do, then you end up taking really bad, desperate trades, right? Yeah, you rely on the information from your executions, right? Your executions give you the best feedback. That's why trading on sim is good to learn the software and to train yourself. But trading on sim is very different than trading real order flow because when you trade real order flow, you have to get the feedback from the executions. And because markets are always different, right? You know, always have another source of income because then you don't do the desperation trades, right? There are right now people out here going, it's the end of the month, I got to pay my rent, and I got to get it from the market. So when you do that, you put yourself in a mindset of desperation. As soon as you put yourself into a desperate mindset, you can get taken advantage of. That's why people who run Ponzi schemes and investment scams, that's why they take advantage of so many people because they're desperate and they prey upon their desperation. And when you're desperate, your judgment goes right downhill. So what you need to do is you need to trade like you're Rockefeller. I don't need the money, right? I'm rich, I don't need the money. So I'm only going to take those trades that make good business sense, right? Now I've done 200 IPOs and I've raised money. I've had most of my clients are big investors. So when I go with my clients to look at a company and people are asking them for money, you ever asked a billionaire for money? And look at the look they give you. right? They look at you like you've got leprosy, right? Ew, you're asking for money, right? That's how you have to look at this market. So you only take trades when you're starting out and you're trying to get consistent. You're doing the look below and fail. And you want to use the look below and fail at the edge. So a lot of times, like if we get a big liquidation now, right? All these people here will be trapped long. And if we break and come down here, you might get a look below and fail here. But the best trade will be at the bottom of cost basis. That's where you get the best deal, right? So that's when you you go to like the Saks Fifth Avenue outlet and the shoes that were $1,000. Well, here they're on sale for 500, but here at the bottom they're on sale for 350. So that's where you get the best deal. Try and wait for the best deal. Now I know a lot of you will feel, oh, you're going to miss the trade. That's okay. Once you get used to this, two things that you have to make peace with, right? And if you can get used to this, right? One is missing trades, right? Like you'll hear me go, "Oh, I missed that. Oh, crap," right? But that's all I put. You don't put any energy towards that. You miss a trade, no big deal. There's always going to be another one. The next one is being wrong, right? Get used to missing trades, get used to being wrong, right? Because you're going to be wrong a lot. And the quicker that you can admit you're wrong and pivot and get out of it, the less money you're going to lose. The faster you admit you're wrong, the less money that you are going to lose. It is simple. Humility is the best risk management, right? I will admit I'm wrong so quick it'll make your head spin and I'll be out of the trade. I don't care if I'm wrong, right? It's not, it stops being an ego thing. In business, ego really is a killer, right? That's why a lot of people in trading have a difficult time because it attracts intelligent people, and intelligent people are not used to being wrong. So it's very, very hard for them to admit they're wrong, and that's why they stick into bad trades. Oh, it's got to do this, it's got to do that. You all know what, we've all done it, right? I've done it. Oh, okay, I'm going to average into a bad trade. All of that stuff, ego kills in this business, right? Ego kills. That's why you go to a brokerage firm. A lot of the times you'll see the quiet guy that everybody makes fun of. He's the guy who's doing 50, 100 million a month, right? Because as soon as he's wrong, he reverses. Not reverses the trade, but he gets out of a bad situation quickly. Now, if you come into our room, right, right, if you come into our room, we'll teach you how to admit you're wrong quickly because we have a method where you train yourself, right? So now remember, if you're short and it's under 87 and a half, we're looking for VWAP at around 83, 84, right? If we can break this 86 level, right? Because that's where the next bids are going to be, somewhere around here, right? And if that breaks, we're looking for VWAP, right? So say you were short here and you re-shorted it here and you stayed short because you see the offer moving lower, right? You see the sellers were here and they keep moving lower. That's why you watch the offer. You see how it's offering, 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 offering. The chart tells you everything. Hey, G-Man, good morning, right? So now let's see if we come underneath, right? The sellers are here now, right? The top of the candle are where the sellers initiate. Really simple. You don't need any fancy software. Very, very simple. You're looking for bids at VWAP. So if I was short, if I had re-shorted 92, 91, stop at 93, as the top of these candles get lower, it means the market is being put on sale because the sellers are competing, right? So just put your bids in just here over VWAP under that blue line. If we can't get back, if we can't, the next candle's opening here. Watch that candle. If that candle gets above 87.5, then you know the sellers have seen buyers. See how simple that is? But what you got to do is you got to be able to focus and concentrate on what I'm telling you, right? Right? You got to focus and concentrate, right? The key to this business are discipline and repetition and focus, right? That's how you make money in this business. You have to focus on small little details, right? You have to have the discipline to focus, right? You're not being patient. Being patient is the wrong thing that people say. As soon as you tell people to be patient, they lose their minds, right? So focus, discipline, and repetition, right? And remember, it's a business, right? It's a business. If it's not a business, you have no business being here, right? You know, it's okay if if you want to learn how to play golf one week, learn how to trade the next week, underwater basket weaving the week after. That's cool. But if you want to make money, you got to hunker down and focus, right? All the boring stuff, right? Discipline. Discipline to wait for your setup, right? Do you know what your setup is? Have you traded your setup 1,000 times? Do you understand the mechanics of your setup? Now, you guys in my room, okay? I'm saying this with love. I asked you guys 2 weeks ago, because you guys are always talking about patterns and stuff. I said, send me some charts. We're gonna do a webinar on learning the mechanics of what is behind your chart pattern. I didn't get one chart. So it tells me that nobody's serious, right? You guys are all just jokers, right? Got to put in the work. Send me a chart, right? Come on, guys. You guys got to get off your ass if you want to make some money, right? Because I tell you something, this market's not going to get easier to trade. This market over the summer is going to be a bitch to trade. It's going to be hell. And 99% of you are going to get chewed up and spit out. So if you're serious, you know how people are, cup and handle and this, and ascending, lettuce wedge and all that shit you guys trade? Send me those patterns. We'll break them down so you can understand the mechanics of what the hell you're doing, right? But I haven't gotten one from you guys. Not a single one. I get questions like, is this a good place to go long? Right? Come on, guys. Get off your ass. Do the work. Do the work. Okay? There you go, Moran. The sellers are there at 86.5. There you go. So if you were short the 90s, this is where you should be buying it back a little bit, right? If you think this market's going to get easy in the summer, it's not. It's not going to get easy in the summer. It's going to be more challenging. And going into the fall, it's going to be horrendously difficult to trade. So if you want to make money, get off your ass and do the work. I'm here. I'll give you my time, right? Right? I'm here. I'll give you my time. I charge a lot for my time. When companies want to hire me, you know, they got to pay me like 150 grand a month and 1 million shares. You know, I'm helping you guys for $10 a month, right? Take advantage of it, right? Take advantage of it. Charles, do you know what a chart pattern is? The reason I'm doing this is because there are a lot of traders who trade chart patterns, okay? Like cup and handle, that's the only one that I can remember. They have their wedges and their bull flag, raccoon flag, all that shit. Send me those. We're going to do a webinar on how to understand the mechanics of a chart pattern. Did you hear that? So we're going to, Charles, I've repeated it 3 or 4 times now. Can you not hear? Are you having trouble with audio? Just checking, right? Yeah, there you go, TradeMaker. Charles, can you hear me? Okay, no problem. Yeah, you got to train your eyes, right? Everything is repetition and training, right? And if you understand the mechanics of why things are happening, you have an edge. If you don't understand what's going on, there's no way you're going to make money because this stuff's not random at all, right? And those of you who are on YouTube, if you want to learn how to do this with all the, with just some simplicity and common sense, I'm trying to bring back common sense back to trading, right? Instead of trying to sell you a software, right? We do have an AI. We have the JJ AI, which, you know, it's been fed everything that I've taught people. So when you can't get a hold of me, you have the AI. We give that away for free when you join the room. We give you every resource available. We have 400 videos. You have access to me. Other than probably 5 or 6 hours a day, I'm around all the time. We give you every resource that we can to help you get successful. Whether or not you take advantage of it, like take advantage of it, right? You know, if you're interested in private coaching, if you really want to learn how to make money, reach out to me, right? I'll sign you up for one-on-one mentorship, right? What I'm going to do next month is I'll be giving away a free mentoring session with me one-on-one for new people who are joining the room. Okay? Take advantage of these things, right? And we're not going to try and tell you to trade a moving average or something. We're going to teach you the mechanics of the business so you can actually have a shot, right? If you're tired of blowing up accounts, if you're tired of being a slave to your emotions, right? Give me a call. I'm here, right? You guys have any questions? Now, if we break VWAP, right? If we liquidate further, right? If we liquidate further, you can see that there is a position here, right? Time and volume spent, we're going to come into this area here. So if it comes down here, because it is slow, it might chop around here, right? Yeah. Last day of the month, size down, trade less, okay? Size down and trade less, okay? Admit you're wrong quickly, right? And relax. Because Monday is a new month. All right? Thanks, everyone. Trade smart out there, okay? And we will see you at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Time, 2:15 UK time. Alrighty? Stay out of trouble. Bye for now.